Hey guys, I wanted to give a little bit of an energetic update and some encouragement to you out there. My name is Missy, and welcome to my channel, Cosmic Love Rehab. I want to talk about a few different things, and I'm going to try to bring it all together because I can get a little sidetracked sometimes. But I want to talk about when we go through things that we don't really understand why we're going through them, or things hit us out of nowhere that seem very unfair, and we don't have an immediate answer as to why these things are happening. Okay, and I've noticed myself and a lot of others going through things where they're caught up in the middle of something but don't directly connect themselves to it, or don't understand how they're connected to it, and yet still have to go through the process of it and also the emotional upheaval of it, right? And I did a video about this a few weeks back, I think, but I wanted to give you the reasons of why this happens, and to encourage you that if you are in the middle of a situation or situations where you're feeling like life isn't fair and things are happening to you where you haven't had a direct part in the reason why it's happening, and you're not having an understanding of why that's happening to you, there's a reason for it. And, just my own self, I've been going through some things over the last few months that have turned my life upside down, and these situations didn't directly, I didn't have a hand in these things happening. I couldn't say, well, I did this, so this is why this happened. I mean, literally things out of nowhere were happening to me, and I would find myself at times really pleading with God, you know what I mean? Like, why are you allowing this? Like, what did I do to deserve this? I really felt victimized, and I couldn't put the pieces together. I mean, and I'm a searcher, you know what I'm saying? Like, if something's happening to me, whether I caused it or I didn't cause it in my mind, I'm still looking to see what part I played in it, and or why it's happening. Like, for me, always have to know the reasons of why this is happening and what I can do about it, or how I contributed to it, right? But in these situations, I didn't really have an answer to why they were happening, because they just seemed to come out of nowhere, and they were pretty serious, and they pretty much left my life in a place of uncertainty over months of what next, and my family's life in uncertainty, and us not being able to understand. But I knew from experience, and I knew because of what I do, that there was going to be answers later on, and there was going to be, a lot of times in a situation where something's happening to you and you don't really, there's no fault in it, I'm not going to say there's not responsibility, but I'm going to say that there was no direct fault, or, somebody that you could blame, for these situations. Not, as far as you're concerned, I'm talking about in your circle. Outside of that circle, that's a whole nother story. But you just, when you don't find the reasons of why this is happening to you, and you feel that feeling of unfairness, I know that there's more to come, and that usually the blessings are there to follow, but you have to go through the process first, And also, this reminds me of the Judgment card and the Tower card, and the death card, these heavy justice card, right? Sometimes when we see those cards in the tarot, like, it could be scary because you don't know, it's going to be a while when you're going through those kind of processes. You know that you're going to have to go through some kind of transformation. And it reminds me of that because it's so necessary. Those things are so necessary. These situations where we feel like life is unfair is so necessary, because a lot of times when we're sitting in in situations that are stagnant, or we need to be woken up, or we're isolating ourselves, and the universe feels that maybe a situation needs to come along and get us out of our cave. You know what I'm saying? Like, the universe will allow certain things to happen, even those situations that feel unfair. And where we're like, why is this happening? There's so many times where I'm like, God, like, me and God, battling it out, me yelling at God, me crying, like, why are you allowing this? Like, what am I supposed to do? And it was like, I always, the universe always showed up, and God always sent me signs saying it was going to be okay. Just trust me. Just trust me. And I would trust again. And then, that situation would come up again in some form. And then I'd be like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? This is so unfair. I don't know how to fix this, especially when I didn't cause it in the first place. So when these moments happen to you, it is a time to reflect. It is a time to see if you've contributed to any of the things that are happening in your life. And for me, what it had to come down to was, I had to check my vibration. What were my constant thoughts and belief systems that were playing out all day long? And I'm not even realizing, there's this constant tape going on, a constant, tape playing over and over again. And a lot of times we're not even realizing what's in our heads. We're not even checking for a second, checking in and saying, is this what I want to believe, or is this what I want to experience? We don't realize how much that has a part in what plays out in our life, And so there had been situations on the outside that, where there was anger thrown at me, and some of it I am responsible for, not directly, but in some way responsible. And I think what I had to realize for me was that I had to go back and see what my thoughts were, before any of these things started happening. Like, what kind of, what was happening in my head every single day, my emotions, because before that even happened, my emotions were very much up and down, up and down, up and down. And here these things start to happen. I mean, I'm talking about like 3 different things over months that I really didn't have a direct explanation for. And I couldn't pinpoint myself to these things and why they were playing out, or in my behavior. But over time, realizing that it wasn't necessarily my behavior that had a connection to these things, but my belief systems. And here's the other thing, is that you will find that these situations that are happening mimic past situations. You will find that your feelings about it and what it triggers within you mimic other times in your life where you felt that same way in that kind of intensity. And it's another chance to do it over. It's a chance to redo something that happened in your past over now. Like, how different are you now? Are you still that same person that handled it that exact same way? And are you trying to handle it like that now? And so, um, there's just so many things that I want to talk about that, like, I can't get it out. But, um, but yeah, just know that, you're not alone, and the universe is trying to help you open up to this, um, new vibration, and so that you can open up your arms and allow some of this new life in, because there's ways that we block ourselves and we don't even realize it, just by the things that we believe. We want something so bad, and the universe hears that. The universe hears those desires, that constant wanting of something, and they honor, the universe will honor that. But if your thoughts don't align, then you'll find yourself having those situations come in that turn your world upside down in order for you to change what's happening, in the inner reality, right? So your outer reality can actually change. So it's really a gift. It's really a gift from the universe. But while we're going through that, we don't realize it. Now, the interesting thing is that there was a lot of waiting involved, and there still is a little bit, but a lot of the worst parts for me are over. And once I was able to get over the anger, because I was like really brokenhearted about all these things, especially because I didn't understand why they were happening. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand how to fix it or what I was supposed to do if I didn't directly do something, like if I didn't cause it as far, physically. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how it all would turn out. But what I had to do is stop being so angry and kind of get myself out of the way and get back to who I am, because I was walking around really angry. And because I didn't know how to fix it, I was walking around really angry. And so I had to sit with myself and say, why is this, and then what am I going to do? Am I going to start acting out of character? Or am I, am I going to try to keep changing something that I can't change? Where's my power in this situation? And so I knew that my power was to get my mind right, and to align my vibration and to get back in my heart space, and not be in such a place of blame, even though there is and was people involved. Don't blame others, even if they are acting crazy. Like, understand that even those people are our teachers, and they're angels in disguise, like, that are helping us change our reality to open up to more, even though on the outside it certainly doesn't look like that. And even though they may not even have an awareness of how they're helping. But I had to get out of a place of blame, and I had to really work on my anger and start opening my heart to love and understanding and the bigger picture of things, and understanding that people can only love you from their own perception of what love is, and how they grew up in their patterns. They really can't do anything more than that. So you can't really blame them, for the way they behave, and blame damn sure isn't going to change anything. You could say, you did this and you did that and you did this and look at you, and you could get happy about, when something bad happens to that person, or now you prove them wrong. But that's not going to change anything whatsoever. It's just going to make you more bitter. It really is. So when you can really rise above a situation and really dig down in your heart to have compassion for people that you don't understand, for people that might be slandering your name and you don't know why. You don't have an understanding of why. Or for people that are just acting in ways that you don't have an understanding. Sometimes it just takes you understanding their background, understanding that you might just be a person that they're taking out their frustration on or their anger on, but it might not really have anything to do with you, so, stepping back, coming out of that victim space, or just dealing with your victim space. Maybe you need to go into that space of having that conversation with God and the universe, of how angry you are and how pissed off you are. I have those conversations with God when I need to have them. Like, I don't hold anything back. We have a conversation, and I know that God can handle it, and so, and sometimes that's just needed for me to get back to what truth really is, and for me to be able to release that anger and realize that I have more power than I realize, and that I'm not a victim. And so I want to remind you that you aren't a victim. You are no victim, and that the things that are happening in your life are for you. That life isn't happening to you, but things are happening for you so that you could tune into and choose the field you want to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? And, you're a healer. You are a healer. Chances are, if you're listening to this video, you're a healer. And so getting back in that space, not one of being bitter or angry, and blaming people and being happy at people's downfalls or proving somebody wrong, but really getting back into a space of love again, and understanding that we all have to have our day. None of us are exempt from balance, the balance of karma. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to create more for yourself, but you really want to be a place of love. And that doesn't mean letting other people treat you a certain way, but it does mean to detach and to look at things from a higher perspective. And you not coming out of your character just because somebody else is, but protecting yourself, having boundaries, not going around certain people, not going to certain places because you know that it's no good for you, and that you're not going to be able to stay who you are, still being around those places and those people, right? But yet, not having a major judgment on those people either, and not blaming everybody for what's happening in your life, even if you are, quote unquote, a victim. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is the beautiful thing that I forgot to tell you, is that once I got into a place of peace, and I had to practice it, by the way, I really had to practice this peace. This isn't something, sometimes I would feel it, but other times I didn't. And I had to literally have this conversation with myself and just keep praying to be able to stay in that space. And once I did that, oh my God, I cannot even begin to tell you how the universe showed out for me. You know what I'm saying? And literally went before me and handled my battles for me and vindicated me. Literally, like, I'm talking about miracles where, and I say miracles because we're human, but, supernatural really isn't supernatural to me, but, anyway, but I'm just saying things that happen out of nowhere and you're like, wow, I never saw it going that way. Like, I thought this was going to be terrible, because it could have very well been terrible. But the universe sometimes just wants our attention, and the universe just wants you to come out of complacency and come out of stagnancy and come out of certain spaces in your life so you can move forward, because you're asking for things, but you're not realizing that alignment is important and it's necessary. And if we're not able to come If we're not able to come out of these places by ourselves, the universe absolutely will send, or allow, not send, but allow situations to happen so that you do have the opportunity to align, right? But the outcomes of these situations that looked impossible, and by the way, some of these situations had to do with the law, even though, again, I didn't directly do anything, but I was responsible, and so it directly affected me, you know what I'm saying? And so, but yet, there were situations that seemed absolutely impossible, and that, you know, the law says that this and this and this is going to happen. But yet, for me, a way was made, and my path was cleared, and I was able to what is the word? I mean, somehow justice didn't matter anymore. The justice system and the rules that they had, because the universe said, no, I'm going to do this for you. And it was just like, it was crazy. You know, I was amazed. And it made me realize too, that sometimes you have to have faith when things don't make any kind of sense whatsoever, where you can't make sense and you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's just about faith. Sometimes it's just about you trusting. Like, you know, so, and who wants to trust? Like, everybody wants to know what's going to happen or how things are going to play out, especially when it comes to your everyday life, right? We want security, right? But when things aren't secure, that's uncomfortable. So, but the universe showed out and blessed me beyond measure. And some of those areas in my life that were blocked before these things ever happen are very much open now. And, you know, and this is, and I'm starting to understand why they happened in the first place, and even feeling blessed and grateful to those situations, you know? So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope that brings you some kind of peace and encouragement. I want to tell you to hang in there. Hang in there and find a way to come out of victim mode. You know, that whole why me? That's a good question. Why you? You know, find out why you. You know what I mean? Get to the bottom of your feelings and your emotions. Figure out where there's shame. Where there's shame where there doesn't even need to be. And figure out where it came from. And then confront it within yourself and find out if you're going to continue in that way. You know, are you going to continue to accept that for you? Because that could be very well the thing that's blocking you to have what you want in your life. So, you know, get down to the bottom of yourself. And then from there, practice love, practice peace, detachment. That's going to be where your contentment comes from in the midst of all this stuff happening. Have your spiritual practice, meditate, pray, you know, get yourself around people that can support and love you. That's so important. Don't go through this alone. Of course, you have to have your alone time, but make sure that you're allowing people to support you and love you. Okay? And I love you. So you have a good day.